A very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on New Year's Eve. It's about 6:30. I'm recording this show, so you're probably all getting ready to go out or staying at home to celebrate bringing in 2025. You probably maybe some of you already started. Look, I'm ready. Yes, I am wearing a pink shirt. Getting ready to go out with the other half to celebrate as well. Um, I hope you all have a really good 2025. I hope it's a successful one for you. I hope you're happy with the new year coming in. And if you're new to this channel, please make it one of your New Year's resolutions to become a subscriber of the channel if you haven't already done so. And whether you're a new subscriber or not, please do hit the like button if you enjoy the content. So, 2024 has not really been the best of years for West Ham United. And it's ended up with probably the worst possible news that yet again, one of our players has sustained an injury when playing against Liverpool. Now, news broke out earlier today that Jarrod Bowen had fractured his foot, and the recovery time for such a fracture could be around about 2 months, if not longer. Apparently, it's one of the metatarsals, and he actually sustained the injury in the first half of the game against Liverpool, but carried on playing. Now, if that's the case, it does worry me as to why the medical staff didn't notice anything like that. But anyway, it seems now that we have no choice but to seriously consider bringing in reinforcements in the January transfer window, which opens in just under 6 hours' time on the 1st of January 2025. Now, if we'd been deliberating whether we should strengthen or not, then the injury to Bowen must now make it essential that we look for players in this window. Or maybe Lopetegui might think that we've probably got enough in the squad to ride the storm until Bowen is back. I mean, for example, in the game against Liverpool, Luis Guilherme looked quite lively when he came on. And it also kind of means that Mohamed Kudus is likely to be used out on the right rather than used on the left-hand side, which is not his favoured side of attack. And potentially, it looks as if Kudus plays out on the right, then Crescencio Somerville should be given more game time out on the left side of attack. So let's see what our intentions and ambitions are in the January window. Do we go out and strengthen? Not just because of Bowen's injury, but to also just, to look at bringing in something fresh, something different, or do we stick with what we've got? The one thing that we know, one thing that we need to see is an improvement on the past 12 months. Let's face it, 2024 hasn't been great by any stretch of the imagination. After a successful 23-24 season, plus a very good first half of the 23-24 season, sorry, I'll say that again. After a successful 22-23 season, plus a very good first half of the 23-24 season, the calendar year 2024 started with a poor run of results that we never really seemed to recover from. And then, of course, the January window, the 2024 window opened, which was quite barren again, except for the loan deal of Calvin Phillips, which was an unmitigated disaster. We actually weakened the side in January 2024 by allowing the likes of Pablo Fornals, Said Benrahma, and Thilo Kehrer to leave the club without really finding suitable replacements. And in fairness, those departures kind of contributed to that second half of 23-24 being as bad as it was. Now, between January and May, between January and the end of last season, we won just 4 league games under David Moyes. By the way, congratulations to him for receiving his OBE. We got dumped out of the Europa League as well by Bayer Leverkusen when we really had an opportunity to really, if we had the courage of our convictions in the first leg against them, we might have been the first team last season to have beaten them in any competition at that stage. And we could have gone on to progress in the Europa League as well. Anyway, when the season was over, David Moyes, his reign was over at the club, and the 2024-25 season was looming. Julen Lopetegui was announced as the new head coach, and despite apprehension from some quarters, many believed that a new head coach would maybe breathe a little bit of life into West Ham. We spent a healthy amount of money in the transfer window, with Timmy jetting off to Brazil for an extended holiday and apparently looking for the latest pearl to uncover. But maybe the warning signs were there right before our eyes when he kind of spent kind of too long chasing a number of players that didn't materialize. Tim Steidten spent a lot of time chasing Wesley Kosova, the attacking winger come striker, who was then playing for Corinthians. He's now ended up moving to Al Nassr in the summer for a fee of 18 million euros. He was also chasing the Flamengo centre-back, Fabrizio Bruno. Again, that didn't materialize. And it kind of feels now as if Steidten felt that he couldn't come back empty-handed from Brazil. So he did a deal for what we believe was an up-and-coming prospect in Luis Guilherme. But when you spend £20 million on an 18-year-old, you're expecting him to be a bit more than just a bit part player for the senior team. Now, like I said, with the injury to Bowen, there's a possibility that Guilherme could shine, get a bit more game time, and I'd like nothing more than to see him flourish at West Ham and see what happens. But this January window, the 2025 window, has got a lot riding on it, not just for who we might be targeting, but also for who will be making the transfer decisions. Now, I don't think Tim Steidten did himself any favours in summer, especially when he closed the summer transfer window by signing a 31-year-old injury-prone striker who's slower than a snail with a handbrake on. As the season has progressed, it seems that our best signing of the summer has been clearly Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Just why Man United thought he was surplus to their requirements is beyond me. And to be honest with you, we've grabbed a real bargain for £15 million. So with the summer transfer window not being as great as we'd kind of hoped for, apparently now there's been a change of direction as to exactly how we do business in the next transfer window. According to reports, Steidten will now have to submit proposals that will then be reviewed by the board, and then apparently they'll have final say on whether we sign a player or not. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. I think that story has been slightly twisted. And I'll try and explain why. The board have never been involved. The board are involved in signing off the money. Yeah, of course they'll scrutinize how much we will pay for a player. I think that's always been the case. But the board making decisions on who are the best players for the squad, I don't think so. I think the twist is this. I think Steidten and Lopetegui, or whoever the future head coach will be working a lot closer together to identify targets together. And to be honest with you, that's should have always happened. You know, we were kind of led to believe that, I mean, there's so many conflicting stories as to what happened last summer that apparently Sullivan went out buying players, Steidten went out buying players, Lopetegui went out buying players. But we all thought that there was a little bit of communication going on, but seems not. So gone are the days that Steidten is going to be swanning off trying to find an 18-year-old prospect or a 31-year-old injury-prone player that doesn't fit the head coach's needs. So there's going to be more collaboration between the head coach and Steidten. And for me, that makes total sense. But for the board to make final decision, the board will say how much they want to spend on a player, undoubtedly. But they're not going to have a say as to who they think the best players are to fit into our senior squad. That doesn't make sense. But we have another conundrum, don't we? And that is, who's going to be head coach going into this transfer window? I'm really uncertain what direction West Ham are going to take on this. Many are suggesting that if we get thumped by Man City at the weekend, which follows the thumping of Liverpool, then Lopetegui will be gone. If that's the case, then better do it now, that when the window is just open, than waiting any longer. And if we do go for a new head coach, who we appoint is not only going to be crucial for the here and now, but also for the long term as well. If Lopetegui is replaced, a new head coach must come in with the understanding that he has to use the squad available to him. And I'm sure we'll probably get one, maybe two players in addition in the window. But the kind of head coach we go for, you know, do we go for another interim or someone for the long term? Perhaps what we don't have at this moment in time is a long-term option. So I can understand why an interim might be brought in. And if it is an interim, we may have to yet again be prepared to see the development of our academy players not going ahead. Because any head coach coming in on an interim basis is going to be more concerned with the here and now, with results, rather than developing young players. Now, either or is not exclusive. You can get a head coach, an interim coach that will gladly use the academy players, but I think it's kind of less likely that that would happen. So I'm a bit confused as to what we're going to go ahead with. Do we keep Lopetegui even if we do get thumped by Man City at the weekend, or do we let him go? West Ham fans really need to start. West Ham fans, sorry, West Ham United, the club itself, really need to start thinking about the long term. Whatever happens at the end of this season, we've got to use the next season to be looking at long term. We need to bring someone in that's going to be looking at a 4 or 5 year project in order to get the right players in order to develop them, in order for the development of the academy players to happen as well. We need to see them flourish, but you can only do that if you've got a head coach that's going to be in for the long term. But do we, as a fan base, have the patience to wait for a 3-4 year project to see the fruition of it? I don't know. We're demanding, we demand success, and we demand it now. So I don't know if our patience itself as a fan base will warrant it. It's going to be an interesting time to see what happens over the next few weeks. It's going to be interesting to see if the board keep Lopetegui or not. It's going to be interesting to see what type of players we go for in the January window. Do we replace Bowen or do we just stick with what we've got? Quite a lot of questions to being asked, which hopefully we'll see the answers of over the next few weeks. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Like I said, if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. Please also hit the like button as well. Have a wonderful new year. Like I said, go out and enjoy yourselves, or stay in and enjoy yourselves, whatever it may be. And I will see you all in 2025.